It's 5 o'clock, and I welcome everyone to the Saugeen Shores Committee of Adjustment for our May meeting, Monday, May the 17th, 2021, and I call this meeting to order. At this time, I ask members any acknowledgement of any pecuniary interest. You can either bring it up now or at the time it appears on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll move on to the adoption of the minutes. May I have a motion to adopt the minutes, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson, seconded by Mr. Legault. I'm sorry, let's any discussion about the minutes? I'm sorry. Seeing none, we have a motion moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson and seconded by Mr. Legault that we adopt the minutes of our March 15th meeting 2021. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. We'll move into the public hearings now. We have item number 4.1. This is a minor variance application A-2021-021, A-2021-022, A-2021-023 by Mr. Seaman with the municipal address in the former town of Southampton of 244 South Rankin Street. And is it Mr. Kingsley that is Kingsbury's? Mr. Kingsbury, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening, members of the committee. So as the chair mentioned, I'm here to present what's actually three variances. And what's being proposed here, I'm just going to share my screen before I get too far into it. Just bear with me. All right, excellent. So yeah, it's actually three variances, and what's being proposed is, or what's being requested is relief from the minimum lot frontage requirement of the R1 zone and the minimum lot area requirement of the R1 zone. The property is in Southampton on the east side of the river at 244 South Rankin, the corner of South Rankin Street and Division Street. And it's currently vacant. There was a house on the property not too long ago. The applicant, Mr. Seaman, has demolished that house. It was an older house in disrepair. So I'm just showing you some pictures here to give you some sense of the property. This is sort of looking at it. You'll notice there's a large hedgerow, pretty impressive hedgerow along the frontage. That would be the west half of the property, and there's the east half of the property, and there's the existing driveway to the former home, and that's just sort of taken inside the property there, looking west, where the old former home was, and that's looking east. So we can go back to those pictures if there's any questions later on, but for now, I'll just bring you through some of the context here. It is zoned R1. I believe it was in 2018. There was a rezoning, an official plan amendment application on the property, as well as a severance to rezone it into a residential type use, and keep the portion fronting Highway 21 as highway commercial. Surrounding uses include residential and commercial. It is fully serviced on municipal water. Sorry, that shouldn't say septic. It's actually municipal water and sewer is how it is serviced. And as I mentioned, it has access from South Rankin Street. And here's what's being proposed. So essentially there's one large residential lot right now. The applicant is desiring to create 3 new lots and retain 1 lot. So there'll be a total of 4 lots, and construct a single detached dwelling on each of the 4 lots. As noted, the frontage is just under the frontage requirement, 15 meters, and the minimum lot area requirement of the R1 is 500 square meters. So 3 of the lots are proposed to be 433 approximately square meters. I'm sorry, that's the wrong slide there. In terms of agency comments, the SVCA concluded the application is acceptable. Town staff encouraged additional density on the lands, potentially through accessory dwelling units or secondary suites, and requires that the applicant hook up to town water and sewer services, and seeking cash in lieu for parkland dedication. There were no comments at the time this presentation and report were submitted. However, there has been an additional comment provided by Mr. Willicks over the weekend, which was forwarded to the committee. To summarize, I believe Mr. Willicks is on the line, so he can expand on this, but I don't believe he feels it's in keeping with the neighborhood. So there's 4 tests, of course, that minor variance must meet in order to for me to recommend approval. Does it maintain the intent and purpose of the official plan? I would suggest it does. The official plan establishes a principle of use for a residential type use. Does it maintain the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? Again, the lands are zoned R1. What is proposed is consistent with the R1 zone, which predominantly permits single detached dwellings at this point. The third test, is it appropriate and orderly for the development and use of the lands? I would suggest that it is compatible with the residential nature of the surrounding area. There are unlikely to be negative impacts from the proposed development to abutting properties, neighboring properties, and it's in keeping with the neighborhood context, in my opinion. And in step 4, is the variance actually minor in nature? And I would suggest that it is minor in nature. Again, not expected to have any impacts to the surrounding neighborhood. It's not necessarily based on a numerical figure. I'll note that. So the difference between the minimum lot area that's required now and what's being sought, I think we have to look beyond sort of the numbers and assess it by impact. And as noted previously, I don't believe it will have an adverse impact on the character of the area or the ability of adjacent property owners to use their properties as they're permitted. And I would suggest that the variance meets that test as well, that it is indeed minor. So to recap, this variance is requested to reduce the minimum lot area. That will permit the applicant, Mr. Seaman, to conform with the zoning bylaw for his associated severance applications. It's 3 severance applications. The application is consistent with the provincial policy statement, upholds the objectives of the town's official plan, and in my opinion represents a good land use planning. I would recommend approval of the variance as is, and I'd be happy to take any questions if there's any.
Thank you, Mr. Kingsbury. Mr. Seaman, do you wish to address the committee? You're on mute.
Yeah, I just looking at it, everything that Daniel had said there, I think it's a great use of the land. I think after taking the house down, which was in a pretty bad state of repair, I think it's a great use of the property. My only note is the owner. I'm one of the owners. Brad Cruz is the other ones who are owned by our 2 holding companies. I just noticed it said owner Derek Seaman, so I'm one of the 2 owners. That was just a small note.
Okay. Does Mr. Cruz wish to address? Is he on? I can't see all the. If we could bring.
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Oh, here we go. Okay. We'll move on. Mr. Willits.
that working? There we go.
Yes, sir. Good to see
Hi,
you.
hello. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
I hope that did my correspondence meet everyone? Has everyone had a chance to review that?
I've read it. Yes.
Okay, so I'll just quickly recap that. Well, first of all, I live at, I own two properties on South Rankin, 159 and 161 South Rankin. And my feeling and belief is that this is a sub-minimum application that's inconsistent with the South Rankin streetscape. The lots have recently been split front to back. They took 3,500 square meters off the front for the industrial property. And this application creates 4 500 square meter or slightly less than that lots where the average square meter property on the whole street is probably about 1,200 square meters. So this is less than half of what the rest of the neighborhood is. That being said, the neighbor right beside is 1,200 square meters. The neighbor on the other side's 5,300, and the neighbor across the street's 4,600. This is according to Bruce County maps. It's pretty easy information to back up. The subminimum proposal of 14.9 meters being less than half, and it being 4 properties going in there. You know, I recognize, of course, that there's that it's important that we have different modalities and profiles of housing in our community, both affordable, mid-range, and larger. The current neighborhood profile is certainly one of a certain aesthetic, certain character consists when you have a series of mature houses, well treated, as you saw in the photos. I didn't know I could actually do a slideshow today, so I didn't put one together. The community is large, of a series of large lots. It's a very good town country balance on the street in general, in terms of something that maybe an Ebenezer Howard, those in planning probably know a little bit about. Jay, I think you know quite a bit about Ebenezer Howard and his planning plans there. But just to recap, ladies and gentlemen, it's inconsistent with the current neighborhood and streetscape. It does not make a commitment to address low-income housing or affordable housing, potential of basement apartments. I'm not quite sure whether that lines up. It does not appreciably add to the economic or social fabric of Southampton or Saugeen Shores. 3,500 square meters was already subdivided, and I think last 2018, I think it was, from that property. And now you're getting a series of shallow, narrow 500 square foot lots for them in this neighborhood. And I just think that's an aside. And as an aside, you know, I think the densification on this particular site will require the removal of a substantial inventory of healthy mature trees that further reduces the town's urban tree canopy, which as we grow in this area is something that I think is under a little bit of stress. Again, and I do recognize that we do have to require places to grow, and that we do require densification in some areas, but we do also need a balance of different types of housing. And that's about it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Willits. Appreciate your comments. Committee, any questions? Deputy Mayor Matheson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to both Mr. Seaman, Mr. Cruz, and Mr. Willits. I myself believe in big lots, but the province has said that we do not need big lots anymore. I also believe in the fact that those who own the land, as long as they follow the proper procedures, can do with the land as they want. Now, Mr. Seaman and Mr. Cruz are taking the lot, they're dividing it. They're going to be creating 3 new lots to go with the one that's already there. I believe this is good use of the property. I look forward to seeing it. Unfortunately, Mr. Willis, we don't have a character clause in our bylaws right now. It's a question that gets raised all the time. What is, what happens in this neighborhood? What happens in that neighborhood? Where I live, the lots were 100 by 200, and we stuck 52 houses in where there should have been 16. That's infill. That's, we have to follow the rules, and Mr. Seaman and Mr. Cruz are following the rules, so I will be supporting this motion.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Matheson. Anyone else? Seeing done.
May I speak again?
Just one more comment, sir.
Okay, yeah. So the 500, it is sub minimum, so it is asking for a variance. The densification, when you get short, narrow lots, I'm not quite sure whether it really is a great use of property or the profile that we want in Southampton and Saugeen Shores in terms of a diversity and variation in the type of housing that we have.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments? Ms. Kuntz. Go ahead.
I would just like to say that I appreciate the points that Mr. Willits has made through you, Mr. Chair. Sorry. I would like to just support his position, and I feel like having visited the property, I feel like in that neighborhood, 4 lots where there were once one lot, does seem like perhaps 1 lot too many. And those are my comments. I would not be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve this application subject to the conditions on the agreement sheet? Moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson, seconded by? Okay, no seconder. We have a motion to deny this application. Moved by Ms. Kuntz, seconded by? We have no seconder. I think we can require a little more discussion about this.
Pat, can you ask if committee members are moving and seconding to vocalize that? Because I have a hard time seeing the hands.
It's early. Well, the initial asked for a motion to accept this application subject to the conditions on the decision sheet, and that was moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson. No seconder. Then
Mr. Chair,
yes.
I just want to remind the committee that our job is to look at the applications that are put forward, and based on the merit that is presented by our county planners, move them. Our county planner himself and Ms. Mugabe have seen that this is a good motion, that is good land use, and we have to follow along with what our county planners say. If we have a problem, then we should speak with the county planner beforehand, but the county planner and Daniel has presented a strong case here. And remember, if you vote against this and it goes to LPAT, the first person they're going to call is our county planner to say, is it a good use of the land? And they will say yes. So I'm just saying, members, you got to speak up here. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Carr.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Chair, I guess it's just going to be more of a general comment to everybody. I'm sitting on the fence on this one here. I definitely understand the intensification that we're trying to do. I myself just have a hard time seeing this stuff come through when we're constantly, I mean, right now, all that we're debating right now is reducing the lot size, correct? This is what the minor variance would be. So we're going to go down to 433.41 square meters. From 500, what our normal minimum is that correct? That's what we're actually debating right now. So is this something, is there, I don't know, can I ask for an example? Have we done this before? Are we setting precedents by doing this? No. That's why I have a hard time, putting my hand up to second this one here. I don't support the smaller lots for the most part. I do support where they're used properly, and I will support staff in that. I have a hard time with it for straight up for the fact that I don't want to set a precedence that it's no problem that we keep on making these lot sizes smaller and smaller. That's my opinion on it. Thank you,
Councillor Carr. Mr. Kingsbury.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, there was a question there. Is there precedence for this? We have, on occasion, in the last few years, seen quite a few. Again, I don't have the precise figure, but quite a few variances that have requested relief from the maximum lot area size. I think it might be noteworthy to members of the committee that the town is bringing forward a zoning bylaw amendment this evening at planning committee that is speaking to this exact provision. So the R1, as is proposed and as we'll go forward to planning committee this evening, is being proposed to have a minimum lot area of 450 square meters. Although this is, of course, 433 square meters, it's a little south of where the proposed zoning bylaw amendment is for the R1. I think it's still noteworthy to point out that there is precedence for smaller lots. This is a provision that a lot of consent or severance applications get hung up on, and there's recognition that that a number of variances likely could have been avoided had if that lot area number was a little lower. So that's what's going forward to planning committee this evening. I think it's important context. The other thing I'll note as well, the large lot sizes that are typical of this neighborhood are consistent of a time when services were the only service provided was water. So the lots had to be large enough and sufficient enough to accommodate a septic system and leach field. Of course, approximately 10 years ago, maybe a little longer, the town installed sewer services there. And so this is sort of exactly the type of infill type development that we're looking for in terms of servicing sustainability. So I'll just sort of leave it at compatibility doesn't necessarily mean the same as, but compatible. And again, those 4 tests, I believe, are met in this case for this minor variance.
Mr. Seaman.
So I'm not sure if it's relevant to this point. Like our intention on this property, and we've done this on Spence Street already in town, is to create an R1 lot and build rental houses there. 2-unit rentals is what the town was asking for, an accessory dwelling in the basement. So that is our intention right now, and our full plan is to build 2-unit rentals, likely around a 1,300 square foot house with a 750 square foot accessory apartment in the basement. Sorry, what was that?
What was that?
So yeah, so we actually have built one. If anybody wants an example, on 365 Spence Street, right across from the nursing home. Brad and I have a partnership on that, and when we are planning on building, that would be our plan, is to do that. And we've actually got one occupied on Spence Street right now. And that's the template we are planning on using.
Mr. Legault, you're on mute.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Derek, so you're going to build these houses and then sell them, right?
No, that wasn't the plan. The one on Spence Street, my partner Brad and I built it and own it and rent it out. So we have the 2-unit rental already rented on Spence Street, and one of the plans is the plan is to build basically the same, like with different distinct designs. I don't want to build 4 that are the same, but that's our intention to build them and own them. So I would be the builder and half owner.
Do you know approximately what the retail value would be of the houses once completed?
It depends on the design, probably 600,000 or 700,000, something like that, with the lot and the builds, just in that range.
I'm a little hesitant on this one too, because I took a drive out and I walked a lot, and that's a lot of homes on that one corner, and that's why I kind of hesitated a bit. I understand the provincial policy. I understand the infilling and the need for affordable housing in this area. So I will be supporting this motion.
Deputy Mayor Matheson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through Derek, good example of the house you built on Spence Street. Now, a question for you on these. Are you going to do the same environmental features like the solar panels on these ones as well?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up there. That's actually isn't our intent. I should have mentioned that earlier. The one on Spence Street is a full net zero house. So it produces as much energy as it consumes. So our intent is to build 4 2-unit rentals that have solar panels and produce as much energy as they consume as the one we've already done on Spence Street. So that was kind of our starting point to show that it was viable. And yeah, that's our intention, to build more net zero homes, rentals.
That's good news. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Posner.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I just want to remind committee as well is that our compatibility tests for infill intensification is not lot area at all. It's scale, massing, height, siting, setbacks, parking. those are not being requested to be changed. Their setbacks, they'll still have to be 6 meters from the front lot line. They'll still have to be 4 feet from the side property line. They still can't go higher than the permitted height in the bylaw. The buildings still have a maximum coverage of 40%, I think it's whatever, which is hard to discern from even a larger lot, because most people don't build to their 45% on a 1,000 square meter lot. Would be 5,000 square foot or more ground floor area. No one's building that in this area. Having said that, my instruction and advice to committee and council would be that the lot areas, because they're from a period of in fact, they're the 80s, they're really placeholders. And so when you're evaluating an application that might reduce the lot area, you're going to look and determine if the project as a whole is a good project. I don't think there's a need to have any lot area, frankly. I mean, we have other ways of measuring. I've outlined what the test of compatibility should be based on our own official plan. So I just want to make sure that that sort of context is also considered when you're reviewing that. And this would go for any of them. So you're not establishing a precedent, you're evaluating the merits of the proposal. And I agree with Dan's opinion, by the way. So
Thank you, Jay. Any other comments?
Call the question.
Is there a seconder to accept this application? Moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson, seconded by Mr. Legault, that the application be approved subject to the conditions on the decision sheet. All in favor? One. All in favor is Mr. Legault, Mr. Carr, Councillor Carr, Deputy Mayor Matheson, and Ms. Barwell. That is approved. Thank you. Our next item is item number 4.2, which is a sign bylaw variance for Top Outdoor Incorporated, located at Part Lot 9, Concession 4 in the former Saugeen Township. And Mr. Jay, you're handling that? Mr. Posner, go ahead, please.
I'll unmute, but yes, we don't get these often, but and I think a few of you, this will be the first sign bylaw variance. And so what we've done in the past is, or what we have is a sign bylaw that allows the Committee of Adjustment to vary provisions of the sign bylaw on application from applicants' landowners. So in this case, the applicant on the property, I give it the lot and concession because there's no building on the property, it doesn't have a street address, but it's right at the northwest intersection of County Road 40 and the highway. There's an existing billboard sign there, and they'd like to remove that billboard, replace it with a new builder with a two-sided sort of chevron shape that allow north and southbound traffic to look at the sign. The proposed sign face dimensions are there, 8 feet by 16, with a proposed sign height of approximately 16 feet. And on the report, there are some, I think it's the very last drawing, shows the conceptually what it would look like. It has the picture with the Jeep in it. Our sign bylaw prohibits permanent non-accessory ground signs. Prohibits billboards like this. And so therefore the bylaw is saying that in the long term, we don't want to see the proliferation of billboard signs that convey information like this. So the variance is to permit or request a new billboard sign in the location as generally shown on the one photograph. I'm providing two options to the town. One is a refusal, or to the committee. One is a refusal and one is a approval. And you can attach any conditions if you want to approve it to the sign. The pictures that are show 7 billboards between North Bruce and the hill at the south end of Port Elgin, where other billboards of approximately the same dimension and size are located along the stretch. Every few hundred meters, there's another billboard. This would be in the same sort of theme as those ones. That's just there for information. The one in the map that's highlighted in blue shows the it is the parcel on which the sign was located. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jay. Any questions on the presentation for the sign? I think it might be straightforward. Is there Councillor Carr, go ahead.
Sorry, just to be clear there, sorry, through you, Jay, Are you requesting then that they are going to remove the other one that's in the picture there and just replace it with the new one then? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's their request, though. If you choose to approve it, you can attach that condition to be clear that the other sign shall be removed.
Okay. Mr. Legault.
Just to be clear, Jay, so our intention with the bylaw is to eventually eliminate those signs altogether, right?
Yeah, when we wrote that bylaw 2015, the council was clear they wanted to allow billboards as they existed. So they allowed those existing signs, but they wanted new signs to be prohibitive. So over the long term, those non-conforming structures would disappear.
Is there any appetite to change the bylaw on council?
I'm not sure about council. There's an appetite for me because I think the bylaw is very difficult to work with. But this is one out for applicants. They get to enjoy the decision of committee instead of me saying no every single time. So,
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Matheson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And through you, I'll be going for option 2. I don't see a problem with them. As Councillor Carr asked, the old one will be removed. They're not cumbersome. They're not blocking any view. They don't have the bright flashy lights on them. It's just straight advertising. It's a good use. It brings the owners of the land a little bit of rent revenue coming in. So I'll be supporting option 2, that we approve the sign variance.
Any other comments? May I have a motion to support option number 1? Moved by Mr. Legault, seconded by Deputy Mayor Matheson. I think clarification here, Deputy Mayor Matheson, were you supporting option number 2?
Yes, option number 2, that we approve the sign variance and allow top to, am I saying that wrong, Jay? 2 is the one that gives
yeah,
it to
two is the recommendation
Yes.
for approval.
Okay.
And so I was just pointing to
Okay.
Mr. Legault being the first one.
I'm going to back that up again. Just give me a moment here. Ms. Kuntz.
I just needed clarification on which was, thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, I'm not sure. Am I off mute here? Yes, I am.
Yes, yeah.
I just needed clarification as to whether, which one was the approve and which was the not approve. Because I don't have that in front of me. It's not on the screen. And is it too late for me to add a particular position?
No, we can add that in.
Okay. My own thought is, if council has said that they are trying to remove these billboards and to not have such signs in our area, then I think I have to respect council's approach on that. And I just don't see any really compelling reason to go outside of what council has asked for, and they are the elected officials. So I will be choosing the option that does not approve this request. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, I saw where I made my error with this on the options. If we could have the screen back. I just can't see everybody here. There we go. Okay. So I'll call for the motion again. May I have a motion that supports option number 2, subject to the and with an addition that the existing sign be removed? Is there somebody that moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson for option number 2, seconded by Councillor Carr? Is there any discussion on this? Councillor Carr, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear again that I'm supporting it as long as we have the condition in there that the old one's removed.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Barwell.
I was just supporting it.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Any discussion? If not, all in favor. That is Ms. Barwell, Deputy Mayor Matheson, Councillor Carr. That is moved. Our next meeting date will be on Monday, June the 21st, 2021, and may I have a motion to adjourn. Moved by Deputy Mayor Matheson, seconded by Councillor Carr. All in favor? Thank you. The motion is carried. Thank you.